Yeah, thank you. Afternoon, everybody. I thought I'd better bring the water up because, as you can hear, I've spent 3 days talking quite a lot at EPF and struggling a bit now. So, Frank, Celine, thanks for the invitation. It's always great to be here, and thanks to Frank again for the mention in the technical update. One of the experiences we had going over from Brocade to Juniper was that Juniper aren't always as quick as you need them to be, so to have this sort of collaboration between IXs is really good and really useful, and so our engineering teams are talking on a regular basis. It's really good to see. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. We in the UK, for a long, long time, only really had two exchanges, so LINX and LINX in London. There's been attempts to have other exchanges around the UK, but it's never really worked. So LINX has now tried to change this, and I'll spend 10 minutes explaining why and what we're doing. So at the moment, we've got exchanges now in Manchester, in Scotland, based in Edinburgh, and we've got a Cardiff exchange that is, well, it's built, it's not just turned up yet. And one of the things we get asked about is, what's this all expansion? But it's not really about expansion, it's about diversification. It's about introducing new things, new variety. LINX was started with the whole purpose of keeping traffic local to the UK. And we've done that quite well. But actually, we did that so well that we prevented other exchanges really coming up in the UK. You look into most other countries in Europe, and they've got exchanges dotted around geographically, and that wasn't happening in the UK, and we figured we were probably part of the problem. So it was really up to us to fix it. We want to try and keep traffic out of London and into Manchester or into Scotland. So our aim behind this was use the existing membership. We don't want to create new membership organisations. We don't want to have a whole mess of companies going on. It's the existing membership, one single membership, but there is a need to respect what the local community wants. So to create a device where the local community can feel they've got a sense of ownership on that. We did that through establishing steering committees. We've also got an exchange in the US, and it's called an advisory board there. But essentially it means there are local people who meet on a regular basis, help shape the direction of the exchange. We want to keep it very simple. There's nothing complex about what we're doing. We're just trying to make sure that the traffic is better distributed around the UK, and that the members that want to be able to get their traffic right to the edge can do as easy as possible. And obviously, one of the reasons that other exchanges haven't worked is because it takes a fair bit to get an exchange off the ground, and especially if you're run by volunteers and you need either donated hardware or time to do this. Eventually, you're going to say, "Well, I can't carry on running it." And so we've taken a long-term economic view on viability. There may even be some regions that we put exchanges that will never be self-sustaining. But as a membership organisation, it's not our position to go and make a profit at everything we do. It's our objective to deliver benefits to our members. And if it's beneficial to our members to get that traffic to the edge, then we're achieving our objective. So the other thing that we wanted to try and do is to take some dependency away from London. In 2008, we expanded out from Docklands going west through London, and so that reduced the dependency on Docklands. But there's still a very big dependency on London. So we wanted to change that, and Manchester is obviously got some landing points as well. It's a big way to change that. But we also wanted to boost the local economies. Some of the things that I'll tell you in a minute about Cardiff in particular has really kind of invigorated and changed the local economies in this area for the good. And we didn't want to do anything different, really. The only thing we're not doing in the regions at the moment, just because there's not the demand, is 100 gig. But aside from that, we still wanted to offer the public affairs service, so representing our members on matters of public policy, which is one of our core values. All the monitoring and stats that you would normally come to expect from LINX, all the support you'd normally expect from LINX. And also, in order to boost those exchanges, we wanted to put our channel program in place, which is called Connections. Actually, it says in there to come. We do now have that in Manchester and Scotland. And of course, we have got the benefit of economies of scale. We've got 45 staff now, not a big company in overall company size, but it's fairly big for an internet exchange. So we've got the central systems to be able to make sure that it's just a single billing. So as a member, they're not going to get two different invoices from different exchanges all in one place. We can still support, particularly because we just chose to use the same vendors as we already are in London. So all of the UK regional exchanges are based on Extreme boxes. And we want to have a very simple infrastructure. We called it Links in a Rack. There was an acronym when it first came out, which was LIAR, but that's spelled liar. So we just have expanded it back out to Links in a Rack now. And it's quite simple. So the exchanges are all at the moment a single rack exchange. We're expanding out Manchester to 2 new POPs, but it's an internet exchange in a single rack. It doesn't take a great deal to put that together. It's not too expensive for us to do it, so we can take that long-term view in the other locations, particularly if it's a single site. There's not a lot of fibre. There's no fibre to have to buy in between the switches. So they all generally start with a single site POP, but we try to put them in place where there are at least enough data center choice to expand into other areas and other locations. But we don't know that local market as well as all the people that are living there. So we need the local guidance, people to say, but this is where the right connectivity is, these are the right data centers to work in, and we want the local data centers to come in and support as well. So one of the places we're expanding to in Manchester is a local site, M24/7. They're not an international data center player, they're just on the rim. So the other things we can do in terms of our economies of scale is do some central marketing. So this is a homepage, and across the top now we've got tabs that allow people to go into the individual LANs that we're running. So quick update on where we're at. So IX Manchester was launched in June 2012, so it's just over 2 years old now, and it's starting to see some critical mass. We've just broken through the 10 gig traffic mark, so we're really happy about that. And as I mentioned a moment ago, we're adding M24/7, but also another Telecity site. It's got a very, very active steering committee there. There are 9 members who are living in and around and active on the exchange on that steering committee. They're a volunteer committee, but they elect a chair from within them, and they've just re-elected the same person to be chair for a second year, and they drive a lot of local events. So there's an event in Manchester in 2 weeks' time where the ISPA are doing, the UK ISPA are doing, and the IX Manchester Steering Committee are doing all the work for IX Manchester to be involved in that. So we're not doing any of that centrally. It's all been done by the people locally in Manchester. Scotland is a lot more recent. It's just coming up for a year old. The end of October, it'll be a year old. That's in Poleston South Gall. If you know the Scottish data centre scene, it used to be called ScoLocate. There are 11 members. It's a lot slower to get Scotland going. One of the reasons is that there was an exchange in Manchester once before, so there was a lot more connectivity there, and the networks are having to take time to re-engineer their traffic up to Scotland. So it's a longer play, but that's fine. One of the things people were worried about, if you watch any of the news about what's going on in the UK recently, was the independence referendum that Scotland had. And so there was a nervousness about how's this going to change tax systems, my network, my customers. I don't want to commit to re-engineering my network up to Scotland if suddenly I'm going to be subject to other tax laws and things like that. So that's now in the past, so we should start to see people making business decisions based on a more solid idea of the future. And it's actively supported by the Scottish Government. So even if Scotland had voted to be independent, we would have supported the exchange and it would have worked, but it makes people make different commercial decisions. And Cardiff, we had 2 consultations. We didn't expect Cardiff to really fly. The first consultation meeting we had, there was lots of enthusiasm there, but not enough networks that really wanted to connect in the area to make it worthwhile. It would have had less than the 11 in Scotland. And there was a real problem in terms of carrier neutral data center space. There isn't any. And one of our criteria is that we go into carrier neutral data center space. The only place in Cardiff that really works is a BT data center. So this causes all sorts of problems in terms of the membership and neutrality. And BT can't sell colo to anybody. How do they get in there if they don't want to have to use OpenReach? So we worked with BT to come up with a solution where LINX basically is now become the co-location provider. So we've got a suite inside BT Stadium House that's completely separate to anything BT do. So members can come into the building, and they can put their space in there. They can also bring their own provider into the building, into that suite in the building. And if they happen to be in Stadium House, they can cross-connect as well. So we've worked around that. We've always said, though, that that's just an interim measure. And there's lots of data centre building going on around the UK. And when Cardiff gets to a stage where it's got an appropriate carrier-neutral data centre, we'll move the exchange out. And all the members know that. So that got over one of the hurdles. The other hurdle we had was getting new people on, getting the volume on board. And DCMS is the Department for Culture, Media and Sport in the UK, and the Welsh Government, who take funding from them, wanted to really get this going. The Welsh Government and Cardiff City Council really wanted to have an exchange in the city. So they came up with a scheme, which they called a peering grant. And it was around £600,000, so 100,000 euros-ish of money, where networks could apply for a €25,000 grant to help them build out to join an internet exchange and peer. So no, it's not going to pay for all of it. There are restrictions, so it can't be used directly for profit-making activity. So if it's infrastructure, that's fine, but you can't suddenly just go and resell. But there was enough impetus there to change the way that everybody thought about, well, I might be able to make this affordable. So they launched this grant. They closed it on the 29th of August, and when they closed the grant applications, they'd had 24 applications. So they hadn't spent all the grant money. But that was enough for us to say, okay, there's enough demand there for us to go and do this. And so we've got the launch in a couple of weeks at the Millennium Stadium, and the exchange will be up on that same day, the 21st of October. So it's very different the way the different parts of the UK have been operating. There is a much bigger document in terms of all the detail, our strategy, why we're doing it, that is open. You don't have to be a member to go and read this. You can get it from the LINX website, going to the About Consult tab there. I think these slides are all available afterwards, right? Yeah, and I've put a straight link to the PDF to download there. So it's a sort of 16-page document that tells you all about what we're doing and why we're doing, if you're interested at all. And I thought, as I've got you for 5 minutes, I would just let you know where you could meet any of the rest of the team over the coming weeks. So we've got a LINX Nova member meeting in Baltimore, so anybody, the day after NANOG, so anybody who's going to be in North America for NANOG, and you're going to be there on the Thursday morning, please do. It's an open meeting. You don't have to be a member to attend. Come along and see us there. I've mentioned the Cardiff launch. RIPE's coming to London, and so we are hosting the event on the Tuesday night, and we're not restricting that to people that are just at RIPE on the Tuesday night. We're opening up to our membership as well, so if you want to come along to the social, even if not to RIPE, it'd be great to see you. And then we've got our member meeting in November, which is also our EGM, and for those of you who are members in the room, you'll know that that's where we vote any governance changes we've consulted about and our budget through, the same way as you've done today here. And then we've got a Scotland meeting in December. You'll also find us at all the standard other industry events. So thank you very much.